Hi everyone, in this episode we're doing the last stage of our dinner for Christmas, which is the dessert. I'm going to make a pumpkin keto pie, so we'll see how that goes. I do need to make the centre pumpkin. We can't get canned pumpkin here in Australia, so I'm going to start with making the pumpkin. So let's get started. I've chopped up all the pumpkin. And now I'm just going to put that in the oven. So that will be 180 for about 40 minutes. In 40 minutes time I'll just poke it to see if it's soft enough, because I need to blend this all up, so it does need to be quite soft or well cooked. So I'll just pop that in the oven and come back in 40 minutes. Actually have come back at 20 minutes rather than 40 minutes because I think it's best to give them a turn. So we'll just pop them out the oven and give them a check. Okay, so now we're 40 minutes in from our pumpkin cooking. Just have a poke. Yep, it's pretty nice and soft. I think that'll do it. So I'll turn the oven off. We get this into the food, well, we'll take the skin off and pop it into the food processor, and that's it. That's the pumpkin ready to go. So I'll get that done and get all of the, the rest of the ingredients, and we'll take it from there. Okay, now that I have all the ingredients together, firstly I'm going to turn on the oven to 170 degrees Celsius. Okay, so the first thing we need to do for this recipe is to actually make the base. So the base of the pie is made up of almond meal, the xylitol, sea salt, and butter. 1 egg of the 2. Okay. It is optional for vanilla extract. So firstly I'm just going to use coconut oil. This coconut oil I think is the best that I can get, and I'm just going to make sure that the pan is fully oiled. My cooking method is as easy and as straightforward as we can possibly make it. No point in making things complicated. So that's done, ready for when we're finished doing the pastry. So the first thing we need to do is to melt the butter. So we need 1/4 cup of melted butter. That should get us to 1/4 cup melted. So I'll pop that into the microwave. Almond flour. So how much do I need of that? 2.5 cups. That's 1, 2, and a half. Okay, we need 1/3 of a cup of the xylitol. So we add that, and we add in the sea salt, just 1/4 of a teaspoon. So I guess that's a pinch, which is this little one. So just pop that in. Okay, so that's all the dry ingredients. Now the wet ingredients we mix together now. So that is the butter and the egg, and combine that well. See, just 20 seconds in the microwave has given that well and truly enough. We just pop in the egg. Obviously don't want to make our butter too hot, because we'll end up cooking our egg. Okay, I think that's well combined. Just get our 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now I use the Queen variety. It's a pure vanilla extract. It's really, really yummy. So get 1/2 teaspoon. Give that a mix. Okay, so that's now well mixed, and we'll want to just get the dry ingredients, which you'll see in here, and give that a mix through as well. And then we'll add the wet to the dry. So not dissimilar to the way you would make it with flour, but obviously this is with almond. Okay, so that's now well mixed through. Just make a well in the middle, and we can add in our wet mixture. Oh my goodness. Done. Okay, so now I'm just going to fold this through till it gets firm. And then I am going to need to get my hands into it, so I will grab some gloves. As you can see, that's mixing together quite well. Okay, so we want to get this so it's all well mixed and forming a pastry-like consistency. It's coming together really nicely. See, that's quite sticky, but it's not unmanageable. So my bracelet's banging on the bowl. Okay, so that's all of the mixture. Just keep giving that a bit of a squeeze through, making sure that it's well mixed. You can see it's quite buttery. Yum. Okay, so that forms the base of our pie. Now it's a matter of getting this into the pan and then pushing it all the way out and then up the sides. So I might just leave half to do the sides. Just keep working that all the way through. See that on the video. The rest of it, like I said, I keep about, probably a little less than half. Squeeze it out into a roll without breaking it, help it, and then resting it on the sides and pushing it around the side of the pan. It does take a little bit of time and manipulation to get it round, but that's okay. Okay, I'm nearly there. Try and reduce this height a little bit. Some thick areas I just want to thin out. Okay, looks good. Okay, now we want to just poke some holes in the bottom and the sides, just so the air can escape. We don't end up with really big air pockets. Okay, so that's the end result there. Nice base pie. Need to do that fork. Don't want to have those air bubbles. And now we'll pop it in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes. Do put it in the centre because I don't want it to cook too hot at the top. So that is our pastry, and now we'll get started on making the filling. We're going to need 450 grams of this pumpkin mixture we made. So I have my measuring doohickey here. I find that this has just been the best. The electronic ones, the batteries go flat, so I've had this for many years. So we'll just fill this up to 450 grams. There we go. Now I find you can actually freeze this and use it for any other purpose. So I will pack that away when we finish making the mixture. I'm going to use the same bowl because it's just had the pastry mix in it. It's actually nicely oiled, so we'll give that a go. So we put in the rest of the filling. So we put this into the bowl, our pumpkin mix. Put a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Do 1 egg. And we'll give that a mix through. Just 1/3 of the xylitol. And then 1/2 cup of cream. About 6 minutes to go on that. 1/2 cup of the cream. Scrape that out. Okay, now we give that a good mix. Pumpkin spice, or the pumpkin pie spice. In Australia we don't have, well, I couldn't find pumpkin pie spice, but when I did a Google search, it's the same as what we have called here as mixed spice. So we need to just add of this spice mix 2 teaspoons. So that's 1. And this is cinnamon, nutmeg, and some other spices. It's probably something you could make up yourself. 2. Okay, so we'll just give that now a really good mix in, because we want to make sure that we don't get mouthfuls of that flavour. We want to make sure it's nicely blended through. So now you can see I've mixed that through. There's a good consistency there. So the alarm's about to go off. It's been in the oven for about 14 minutes all up. I'm just going to take it out now. And now that looks really nice and golden brown. We don't want it too much more because obviously once we put the filling in, the edges are going to crisp up even more. So we run the risk of getting that burnt. We reduce the oven now to 160 degrees. It's just 10 degrees less. We gently pour the filling into the crust and then tap on the counter to release the air bubbles. Here goes. Tap it to get the air bubbles out of the mixture. I think that's enough because I don't want to end up with it all on the counter. There we have our pumpkin pie ready to go into the oven. So I'm going to pop that into the oven again in the center. That's going to go on for 40 to 50 minutes. So I'll pop the timer on and we'll see you back in 40 to 50 minutes. So we're ready to take the pumpkin pie out of the oven. So we'll just switch the oven off as we no longer need it on. And then, oh, this looks great. You can see that it's nice and brown without being burnt, and it's got a jelly middle when you shake it, which means that it's set enough to come out of the oven. Now what we need to do is pop it onto a cooling rack, onto the bench until it's completely cool, and then once we've happy that it's cool enough or completely cooled, then it needs to go into the fridge for an hour before we slice it. So I'll come back to you once it's completely cooled off and ready for slicing. We're now ready to get our pumpkin pie out of the fridge and see how it turned out. So as you'll see, I probably made the crust a little bit too high for the required filling, but I'll know that for next time. So let's crack it open and see how we've gone. Our knife, just grab a plate and give it a cut. Now it does make 12 slices for the 4 grams of carbs. It's nice and sticky. Cut through. Being mindful that I don't cut the bottom of the pan. When I released it, once it was cooled from the bench before I put it in the fridge, it was fine. Now let's see if I can get this out without ruining it. First slice is always the hardest, isn't it? Okay, so quite nicer, as you can see. Next time what I'll probably do is obviously cut it down to, you know, the sides being only yay high. So we've got our pie piece and I've just got some thickened cream here. You could whisk it and, you know, make a nice cream block on the top. I'm a little more practical than that, and I would prefer just to drizzle some cream over the top. You could obviously use coconut cream or ice cream, and there's your Christmas dessert. So that wraps up the 3 dishes. So we're in the series, we've had our prawn cocktail to start, then we've had our balsamic chicken with the cauliflower and white sauce, and roasted vegetables with a bean salad, and then our pumpkin pie for dessert. So hopefully that will help you make some decisions over your holiday period and give you a great meal on the day with the family. All right, bon appetit.